So here's my giant rolled paper flower, so all pressed out of the paper, and I'm going to do this one using my quilling tool. The card on this is much thicker than I used for the smaller paper, so it does end up with quite a stiff curl, but process is exactly the same. While this card is a little bit thicker, it doesn't roll quite so tightly unless you really push and persist quite hard with it. So what you might find is that if you get to the end, the base in here may already be a fairly similar size to your base petal. So I'm almost at the end. I'm going to take that out because it gets quite tricky. So same as before, I'm going to fold over the bottom, fold it back again so it's creased and ready to go. So without releasing it or doing anything, that's how my rose sits. It's still quite tight in the middle. If you hold on to the outer petals when you do this and try and encourage the middle ones to move first, otherwise you end up with a very loose outer but the inside is still quite tight. You can get your fingers in and sort of uncurl it a tiny bit, and what it means is that you don't get all of these petals sitting in line with each other. So I'm going to go for that. So I'm going to just flip the base out of the way, and then I'm going to try and keep the rest from unravelling. My glue gun's still... Oh. My glue gun needs a new glue stick. Not a good time to do this with just one hand. Right, here we go. Four big blobs. Obviously mind your fingers. And then I'm going to hold it and make sure that all the, because this is quite thick, when it springs it is needing quite a bit of pressure just to make sure that all the centre bits push down and they're definitely sticking into the glue. So I think they're all set. If you go bigger with one like this, what you can also do is start to peel some of the outer petals out slightly, and it'll just open out and widen out the flower. If your paper or your card, like mine, is quite thick, then they won't fold back too easily, because it's obviously curving. When you try and fold it away, you're trying to fold it against its natural shape, but it's just enough that those outer ones can expand out and slightly widen out the flower. So you can use these in exactly the same way, but obviously that's the difference. So these were made with an 8-inch square of paper, and this was a 12-inch square of card. So if you want to get an idea of how big those flowers are, my 8-inch square bit of paper could make anything from this sort of size, so it's about 1 inch round wide, to this, which is about 1.5 inches. And my 12-inch square paper, and I probably could let this open out a bit more, there is still room, but this one is sort of easily a couple of inches wide. So depending on your project, that should hopefully give you an idea of how many you might need or what kind of effect you'll get.